everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Adrian and I'm currently a nursing student at Chamberlain University. I haven't made a video in a long time and I'm still here, I'm still doing it. And this is a reminder, I've mentioned this many times in past videos, but if you guys want to reach out to me, you can always find me on Instagram. If I'm not making YouTube videos, you can find me on Instagram, and if you want to ask me questions or reach out to me, you can do that there. I haven't made a video in a long time because I have been going through last year, towards the end of last year, I was going through a lot of transformative experiences. Last year was a very transformative year, and I'm sure last year was pretty difficult for a lot of us, especially me. There's a lot of things that I'm going to be mentioning and talking about in future videos, so keep an eye out for that. In this video, I'm going to be kind of discussing my overview on Health Assessment 2 and Fundamental Skills. So getting right into it, this session, Fundamentals, Skills, and Health Assessment 2, this session was surprisingly pretty challenging. It was very challenging in the sense that it was a lot, like we had a lot to do. Every Chamberlain campus is very different, so my campus did certain things differently, so I don't know what it's like for your campus, but in general, with Fundamental Skills, we had lecture, and then we had lab. And in labs were like 4 hours, which is a long time, but we would use that lab time to learn certain skills that we had to learn that week, and then we would also use that lab time to also do checkoffs. And so checkoffs, you check off on a variety of different skills. For some reason, my campus, we did not check off on every single thing that we learned. We didn't check off on every single skill. Like, there were campuses that literally had people checking off on washing hands. We didn't do that on our campus. We didn't have a check off on hand washing, you know, but on other campuses you might have to do that. And so we had check offs for certain skills. So we did check offs for tracheostomy, suctioning, and Foley catheter insertions. I'm trying to remember if we had any other ones. I have my paperwork. Yeah, those were really the only, so those were really the only two skills that we really checked off on, was tracheostomy, suctioning, and Foley catheter. Those are two important skills that we had to check off on before we made it to our clinical session, when we got to go to clinicals for the first time. And so I'll make a video about in the future about my simulation and my clinical experiences, because I had some really great experiences in clinicals. So I'll definitely be making those videos later. I do follow lots of other people on other campuses, and they had to check off on pretty much like almost every skill. You know, they definitely had more checkoffs. Checkoffs are part of kind of what makes this session stressful, because you really have to prepare to do checkoffs. You have two chances. If you fail the first time, you have a second chance to do your checkoff. This is definitely the session where I would highly recommend going to Open Lab. So in my campus, we have Open Lab, and so you can go and basically practice your skills on your own time. So every campus should have Open Lab, and so there's a schedule and a time, you know, there are certain times that you can go to Open Lab, and so I definitely took advantage of going to Open Lab and really preparing for those checkoffs. Checkoffs were pretty nerve-wracking for me, and that's kind of normal. That's how they usually are, and they are pretty stressful. So definitely practicing those skills before you check them off is really important. And apart from checkoffs, you know, of course, fundamental skills, you are learning fundamentals. So you are learning like the fundamentals of nursing. You learn about things like, you know, walkers and crutches and all kinds of just fundamental nursing skills. So you learn all of those things, and then of course you have exams as well. And so learning fundamentals, you have class. We would have class 2 days a week, and we would have lab once a week. And so the second lecture would be followed by lab. And so the way that it worked with the scheduling, we had lectures online, virtually. So we had live virtual lectures. The second lecture, we would have lecture in the mornings, and then we would have lab in the afternoon. And so we would all be in lecture in the morning time. We would be doing kind of like the rest of our lesson for the week. So we would have lecture in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we would go to lab and we would learn new skills and, you know, practice new, you know, we would learn new skills, or we would also, of course, check off on skills as well. So yeah, that's pretty much fundamentals. The exams were, they were not too hard. The professors would create our exams, and so really if we had issues with our exams, we would kind of just take it up with the professor, and we would go over exams afterwards. There were some exams that we took where there were some questions that seemed really tricky and seemed like we didn't learn about things. So we made sure to really go over any questions that we had with our professor in regards to exams. Exams were not too hard. They weren't really that difficult, but of course you should still study for them and really study PowerPoints, Quizlets, whatever you can find. This is also a session where it really does help to partner with your classmates and, you know, study groups. You know, it really helps to partner with other people so that you can, you know, study together, because you definitely learn from other people as well. So fundamental skills, this fundamental skills is definitely the session where you use your skills bag, and it has all the supplies, everything that you'll need for your skills lab. So when you go to skills lab, your professor, your instructor will tell you what you're gonna need, tell you what you need to take out. And so I would recommend definitely buying this early. You want to get this as early as possible. They will tell you, your campus and your faculty should tell you when is the best time to order this. But I would say order it as soon as possible, you know, especially if you're planning on continuing in the program. Definitely getting this early is a good idea. Yeah, I have all my supplies in here, all kinds of other things. So yeah, this thing is really full with all kinds of kits, kits that I saved, and it's definitely, you don't, when you use your kits in labs, like when you first use them and learn them, it's always, you definitely want to keep labs. You just put everything back in its container. So that way you can, you know, take your skills bag and go to open lab and practice, or you can even practice at home. Whenever I had checkoffs to do, I would go and schedule time to go to open lab and practice in open lab, and then I would also practice at home on my teddy bear, literally. So I was putting Foley catheters on my teddy bear. I was trach suctioning my teddy bear, and my teddy bear was getting like the best nursing care. Like I took care of him. So yeah, so you really got to improvise. You do have the opportunity, at least on my campus, you do have the opportunity to rent like mannequin parts. So whenever we had Foley catheter, there were people who were renting like parts of mannequins to practice Foley insertion. So they were able to bring it home and actually practice with a real life mannequin part, you know, for Foley catheter insertion. So I will say for our campus, Foley catheter insertions were done on female mannequin. And so to practice at home on our campus, there were boxes where you could basically like rent or check out. And when I say rent, I don't mean they charge you, but I'm saying you can basically check out like a portable mannequin vagina, and that is how you would be able to practice Foley catheter insertions at home. I didn't rent one because I felt like I really didn't need one, but I could have if I wanted to. But I did just fine without it, so it really wasn't a problem. To go to Open Lab, you do have to sign up for times, at least on my campus. I don't know how other campuses do it. Of course, it's always great to go with someone from your class, go with the classmates, and so that you can help each other, critique each other. When I was going to Open Lab, of course, a lot of my classmates were there, so it was very easy for me to kind of review with my classmates, and so we would make sure that we got our skills down before checkoff. And so it's definitely a good idea. Overall, fundamental skills was the most challenging thing about fundamental skills is that, at least for me, the professor that I had for lectures and the instructor that I had for labs were two different people. Some people were lucky to have their lecturer be the same person for labs, which is good because the information is consistent. For labs, I had a different instructor than the person who was lecturing. So in labs, there were times where it felt like the information was inconsistent. And so me and my classmates, we would kind of like raise questions to the lab instructor, and she would literally call our professor and, like, you know, to clarify information and make sure that we're all on the same page. And so that was kind of the tricky thing about labs, is that the instructor for labs, the information was not always clear or consistent, but it was very important for us as students to make sure to clarify and to make sure that the faculty all clarified with each other. That's really important because my lab instructor, she's a real life nurse. And so of course, like in real life, nurses in hospitals tend to do things slightly differently than what we learn in lab. And so there was sometimes there was like inconsistent, confusing, miscommunication. So we had to make sure to really clarify. But overall, fundamental skills, checkoffs are pretty stressful, not gonna lie, but it's very doable. Definitely stick with your classmates. Your classmates and your cohort, they're the real ones. They're really gonna be there to support you. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about fundamentals. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Now on to Health Assessment 2. Health Assessment 2 is a continuation of Health Assessment 1. That's how it is at Chamberlain. So Health Assessment 1, we learn basically head to chest. So the last thing that we learn is like cardiovascular system and respiratory system. Those are kind of like the last two systems that we learn to assess. Going on to Health Assessment 2, we learn the musculoskeletal, and then we incorporate all of the cranial nerves. And so all of the cranial nerves are added into all of the previous sections in Health Assessment 1. And so you learn your full head to toe assessment with all of the cranial nerves and the musculoskeletal system, and all of it. So it's all pieced together in the end. Health Assessment 2 was really fun. I thought this class was fun. Health Assessment 1 and 2, in my opinion, they were really fun classes because of my professor. She was incredible and amazing. We did have a lot more assignments this session. To me, it seemed like we had lots of assignments to do, modules, things like that. We would have quizzes and lectures. Lectures were really good. Like I said, my professor is really amazing and she really did a great job explaining things. Oh, and the other thing we also add in Health Assessment 2 is the gastrointestinal. So we learn with our stethoscopes to listen to bowel sounds. So that's kind of like a one really new thing that we learn in Health Assessment 2. And so in the end, we go to lab for health assessment as well, and we learn basically whatever section we'll have that week, and then we practice. Labs were, just general labs. If you go to Health Assessment 1, if you've taken Health Assessment 1, then you know what to expect for Health Assessment 2. But in Health Assessment 2, you are learning a lot more. You're adding cranial nerves, you're adding new systems to assess, and then you have to bring back your information from Health Assessment 1 and bring that information into Health Assessment 2. And so you go through Health Assessment 2 and you basically build up your entire head-to-toe assessment until the very end, where you finally do your head-to-toe check-off. For me, my head-to-toe check-off, I practiced it a lot. I practiced my head-to-toe, and it came out very easily, because once you do your head-to-toe or your head-to-chest assessment in Health Assessment 1, you add that to Health Assessment 2, and so it all pieces together very smoothly. And so I learned and I practiced my full head-to-toe assessment, and I did my entire assessment, and I did it with my professor, and she was really, really proud of me when I did it. I think I did it, I want to say it took me like 18 minutes to do the full head-to-toe, and I think I was like one of the fastest in the class to do it. Some people took longer, but on average it takes about like 20 minutes to do the full head-to-toe assessment in lab, like on a mannequin. And so yeah, my professor was really proud of me, and when I did it, I swear to God, like I started doing my head-to-toe and it was like I entered another stream of consciousness, and it was like I wasn't even thinking. I was just doing the assessment, and it was all like muscle memory, and it was just weird. And I remember at the very end, my teacher was like, "That was perfect. That was amazing." And I was like, did I miss anything? I was like, did I screw anything up? She was like, do you want me to find a mistake? I was like, no. I literally, I went through the entire, assessment, and I just wasn't even thinking. I was just doing it. And so I finally finished, and I was like, are you sure I didn't miss anything? And she was like, no, it was perfect. You hit every single mark. So I was really proud of myself, and my teacher was really proud. So yeah, we also, we have in Health Assessment 2, and I think in Health Assessment 1 as well, we have workbook assignments. Here we go. So yeah, we use this workbook, and my teacher would assign us to do some assignments from here. We basically fill out the workbook, and then we would scan or take pictures, and we would submit it to her for review. So when it comes to assignments, my professor personally, she knew that we had a lot on our plate, and so she was really good about assignments. She would make sure that we would get them done, but like I said, she was also really good about assignments. She knew that we were busy, she knew we had other things going on, and so we did have more assignments to do this session, but at the same time, she would kind of help us. Like if we needed extensions, she would give us extensions. I'm trying to think, I'm pretty sure she didn't want us to do so many assignments. I think if I remember correctly, there were some assignments that we just ended up not doing because our teacher was like, you don't have to do that. I'm gonna cancel those assignments so you guys don't have to do them. Yeah, I think our professor, like, I think there were some assignments that she just kind of wanted us to not worry about. And I think, because she told us, I remember my professor telling us, she was like, you guys have enough on your plate already. I don't want you guys to do more. So there were some assignments that she kind of took away, but that's my professor. So, I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like for the rest of you guys. Health assessment 2, in the end, we do have exams for health assessment 2, and the exams were not that bad at all. They were very straightforward. You know, of course you have to study and review for those. For me, like I said, I had an amazing professor. She was a great lecturer, great instructor. And so tests very much came natural when it came to answering questions. Now, our final exam for Health Assessment 2 incorporates information from Health Assessment 1. So it's all of the information that we've ever learned from Health Assessment 1 and 2 is on the final exam. So for the final exam, it is a good idea to go back and review your notes and review information from Health Assessment 1 because it will be on the final. That's how it was for me. So for the final exam was not too bad. You just got to make sure you go back and review all your information from the previous Health Assessment 1 and 2. And it really wasn't that bad for me at all. So overall, Health Assessment 2 and Fundamentals, this session turned out to be way more challenging and way more stressful than I expected it to be. So it's definitely important overall to stay organized, get with your classmates, you know, group chats and group me, all of that stuff, really help each other out this session. So yeah, that's definitely going to be very, very important. Overall, I did very well this session. I'm very proud of my achievements. This session is definitely the session where by the end, you definitely feel like a nurse. I mean, from the very beginning, like, I remember the beginning of the year, last year, starting on, like, you know, the first nursing course, and to get to this point, Health Assessment 2 and Fundamentals, it's like you've definitely come a long way in terms of knowledge, and it is really, really exciting to reach the end of these two courses in this session, because you really do feel like, wow, I actually really know quite a bit. And so it really does make a huge difference, and it's really exciting because then, you know, you go on to the next session and you start going to clinicals and you start finally, you know, applying health assessment, you know, skills on real people, which I have done. And it's really, really awesome. So it's very exciting. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Follow me on Instagram. I'm always active on Instagram. I know I haven't made a video in a long time. I've been going through lots of transformations, personal transformations, on all levels. Last year was pretty challenging for me, so I really just wanted to focus on school. But if I'm not posting YouTube videos, come and find me on Instagram, because I am on Instagram for sure. So thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys next time.